Joining us now is the National Senator Matt Canavan. Senator, good to see you. Thanks for your time this morning. So if the migration levels were halved from the record levels right now, so let's say Giles pulls it back to 250,000, how would you feel about that?
Well, look, it clearly needs to come down. The government has completely botched the recovery from COVID. They had to open our borders when we were recovering from COVID. They didn't have to open the floodgates entirely, and that's what they did. They had no control over who was coming in, and it's a big reason, a big part of the reason why we face a massive housing crisis in this country right now is because we're just simply taking in too many people. We do not have enough homes to provide housing to both people arriving here and to the Australians here already. So I welcome the move to cut them. I would prefer it to go below 200,000, which is the level the coalition had it at before the pandemic. But look, something is better than nothing here. Let's hope, though, the government has matched its border plan with its infrastructure and housing plans. And that's what's clearly been lacking in the first half of the first term of this failing Labor government.
And just that other point that Holly was just talking about there too, Abdul Nasser Ben Brika, he's set to be released this week. It was a big story in our program yesterday, but how do you feel about it, Matt, the fact that he could well be released with what the Attorney General says are very strict conditions?
Well, it's pretty hard to understand why the government wouldn't at least apply for a continuing detention order here. This is one of Australia's worst He planned terrorist attacks, including on the MCG. Where's the evidence here that he's no longer a threat to the Australian community? We, in fact, just passed laws just before we came to Christmas, just passed laws. We wanted to strengthen those laws, but the Parliament passed laws which allow, in these circumstances, the government to apply for a continuing detention order. So you wonder why they bothered passing those laws if they're not going to use them. Because here in this situation with Mr Ben Brika, he is, as I say, one of the worst terrorists ever apprehended on Australian soil. And if he's not going to be, if a continuing detention order is not going to be applied to him, who would it be applied to?
Yep, let's go to your state of Queensland now, Matt. You must be alarmed at the images that you've seen in the far north over the past couple of days.
It's just shocking, devastating stuff. And look, let's hope the worst has gone, but now the Barron River is flooding, so there probably will be more damage for some as that water makes its way down. But look, I know Queenslanders will pull together and recover from this. It's not unusual, of course, to have these kinds of events in North Queensland. And we just need to make sure all governments are working together to help provide that assistance. I do think there does need to be a proper investigation here of what's going on with the Bureau of Meteorology. They have pulled resources right out of central Queensland, where I'm from today, and North Queensland as well. And they obviously made shocking mistakes here on their forecast for this rain. Now, they can't get everything right. I know weather predictions are tough, but it does raise its questions why they pulled so much resources out of an area that's so impacted and often impacted by events like this. Well,
the Cairns Mayor, the Douglas Shire Mayor, they've been on the program this morning and had a crack. They reckon it should be reopened in Cairns. You'd be supportive of that?
Well, they need to reopen the one here in Rockhampton too,
as well.
and right up and down the coast here. I fought that when they made the decision, but unsuccessfully. It would be unfortunate that it takes events like this to highlight it, but hopefully we get a good outcome from it.
Hey, just finally here, Matt, we've got 30 seconds left, but what do you make of the Queensland government facelift?
Well, it is a facelift. They're effectively trying to re-gift last year's unwanted Christmas present to us with some fancy new wrapping paper. I mean, nobody wants this Palaszczuk government. It's the same policies, the same failures we've seen on crime, we've seen on power prices, we've seen on housing. Okay, there's a few different ministers and a few different roles, but I haven't heard yet from the new Premier how he's actually going to do things differently. It doesn't matter who's doing it. What matters for the Queensland people is what is being done and how that hurts at this moment Queensland people.
Hey, where'd your TV go behind you? You got a new board behind you.
Mate, this is a gift from a lovely gentleman who passed away. He was in the coal mining industry, and it's all the different coal mines he worked at in his life. So,
that's lovely.
Great that his family could provide it to us, and great presentation of how many jobs the coal industry provides.
There you go. Matt Canavan, won't see you before Christmas, but I hope you have a great Christmas and a Happy New Year.